Hello, everyone. I'm so happy to be here.
I'm so happy to have you here.
I'm so happy that you're here.
I'm so happy you're here.
Yay! Yeah.
So we have to share a little secret. So for about 4 years,
we were dating. We were dating for 4 years.
Scarlett was our guest at the Huffington Post White House Correspondents' Dinner. And I have to tell you this one scene. People would line up for as far as the eye can see to come and shake her hand. Grown politicians would just be shaking at the prospect. And then there was this moment.
Lies. Those are lies.
While there was this whole line of politicians waiting to touch the flesh, she was running.
Would I make a beeline for Howard Dean?
No, you made a beeline, literally running in high heels across the ballroom.
For who?
For Bernie Sanders.
Don't tell all my secrets.
So, you know, people think that your activism and your fascination with politics was new because of your amazing speech at the Women's March. But in fact, it started much earlier. When exactly did it start?
Yeah, well, my family is, I come from a very politically vocal family. My grandmother, you know, was right there fighting for tenants' rights, you know, during the whole Mitchell-Lama housing development with Scott Stringer. My mother used to take us to the voting booth, and I would push the button for, you know, whatever Democratic candidate. It's probably illegal to do that, but I guess I voted for her. You know, I've just come from a very politically active family, and like I said, a very vocal family. You know, my twin brother was a field organizer for the Obama campaign. He also was a supporter of Howard Dean very early on, and a Bernie Sanders supporter. You know, I've been always interested in local politics, and I think that change happens at home. And, you know, that's something I learned from a very early age.
But the world didn't know that side of you until your speech at the Women's March. So let's take a quick look.
I believe with every fiber of my being that the conversations that we have with our partners and our doctors about what we do with our bodies and our future should not be made fodder for any politician, political agenda, lawmaker, and for-profit corporation. We must stand up for what are our basic human rights and always move forward, never backwards.
So, are you thinking of running for office?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I think, like I said, I've always been interested in local politics. I think that's where you make the most effective changes in your community. And, you know, I don't know. I would never rule anything out, but I have a very full life right now. And I think that, you know, with a very young daughter, and you know, I have a lot that I want to do still with my career. You know, I can't imagine that would be a possibility for a long time.
But you know, New York mayor, wouldn't that be great? Local politics.
It'd be great. I would like to see more affordable housing in New York City, and I'd like to see a greener city. But I also believe that, you know, there are people that are, you know, I have certainly, in the past have supported Scott Stringer and his mayoral run, and I really believe a lot in his experience and his platform. So, you know, I think you can affect a lot of change just by supporting a political candidate and perhaps redirecting the spotlight onto somebody, you know, whose policies you really stand behind. So.
But I'm sure if you decide to run for anything, all these women here, we would put on our pussy hats and campaign for you. In fact, what do you think has happened with the Women's March? You know, there was so much momentum, so much enthusiasm. What do you think needs to happen to maintain that momentum and bring about some real change?
Well, you know, I think that it was interesting because it became this global movement. You know, I mean, I was talking to friends of mine in France, in England, all over the place that participated in one way or another in some sort of, you know, gathering or march. And I think, you know, just to open up the conversation that can sometimes feel very, I think can be a kind of, it can feel a little bit, I don't want to say isolating exactly, but it sometimes, I think, feels sort of solitary. To know that the conversation is happening on a global level is, I think, just the beginnings of that is very encouraging for people. I think it encourages people to volunteer. It encourages people to activate, to donate their time, their money, and you know, it's just knowing that I think you have the support of a global community that can inspire, you know, some sort of forward momentum. So I hope to see that continue. It was a really incredibly powerful day, and there's a lot of work ahead of us. But just to know that we are all kind of holding hands, you know, around the globe, I think is the beginning of something really, really big, and something that's never happened exactly in this particular way before.
And in your speech, you've called out President Trump, and recently, in an SNL skit, you did, I don't know if you've seen it, but you're about to, a pretty amazing impersonation of Ivanka Trump.
No.
When she walks into a room, all eyes are on her. She's Ivanka. And a woman like her deserves a fragrance all her own, a scent made just for her, because she's beautiful, she's powerful, she's complicit. The fragrance for the woman who could stop all this, but won't.
Oh man, yeah, yeah. I've been thinking a lot about Ivanka Trump actually very recently. I'm sure you saw the interview she gave with Gayle King yesterday, but it was kind of baffling, I have to say. It was really baffling, and you know, I think you can't have it both ways, right? If you take a job as a public advocate, then you must advocate publicly, right? You advocate for it publicly. And yeah, and yesterday she said something which I found particularly disappointing, which is that she felt that the greatest change that she was going to, you know, the biggest influence that she would have, or the change that she would make, actually would be behind closed doors. You know, nobody would actually know that she had made this change. I thought to myself, well, that's empowering. I mean, how old-fashioned, you know, this idea that behind a great man is a great woman. What about being in front of that person or next to them or standing on your own? You know what I mean? It's such an old-fashioned concept that to be this powerful woman, you know, you can't appear, you know, to be concerned with, like, you're gonna feel that somebody's gonna think that you're, you know, that you're bitchy, or that you're, you know, I mean, I think powerful women often, you know, they get concerned with this idea that they're gonna be seen in this unforgiving light, and you know, screw that. It's so old-fashioned, and it's so uninspired, and actually I think really cowardly. And I was just so disappointed by that interview that she gave yesterday. I mean, of course, it must be a very complicated situation on many levels. I can't imagine how complicated it must be to see your parent, you know, go for, you know, in this sudden, you know, in the position that he's in, and know deep down, and not so deep down, that it's a position that he never actually really wanted. And now he's in this position and finds himself there. And I think it must be, I think as a daughter and as somebody that looks up to a, you know, a parental figure like that, it must be it's a unique and strange thing. But she has an opportunity to really make a big impact just by being just by being vocal. And, you know, I have met her several times in the past, many years ago. We both grew up in New York, and we have some friends in common and whatever. And she's a very well-spoken and smart, intelligent woman, and you know, I think engaging. You know, it's kind of a, it's a bit, I don't know, it baffles me. The whole situation baffles me. But anyway, there you go. There you go. Complicit indeed.
It also kind of makes us all look at what is feminism. You know, feminism has obviously been evolving, and right now it's evolving in front of our eyes. And I have an idea that the third feminist movement has to include going beyond giving us the vote or giving us access to every job and the top of every profession, to helping us change the nature of work and of life so that we don't assume that it has to be fueled by stress and burnout and being always on. And I was thinking about you in Her, when you played Samantha, you know, this AI kind of Siri, and the fascination with technology and our addiction to technology and how much this adds to the stress and burnout of modern life. So I wonder whether both your kind of view of feminism in this era of incredible technological addiction and your own relationship to your devices has changed. For example, let me start with a simple question. Do you sleep with your phone?
My phone is, I don't ever put my ringer on, probably much to the concern of every person that works with me, but I just can't stand it. I'm not a very, you know, I have no social media presence. I live quite an analog life, but I do find that my phone adds a lot of stress to my life, and it's an unnecessary stress because life is stressful, obviously, and it's complicated, and especially I think when you're, even as a you know, life is stressful in general, right? I find as a working parent, life is there's not a lot of other added stresses that come along with that, where you're constantly feeling like there's just not enough of you, you know, and then what's left for you even, you know what I mean? So to then have the addition of not just the availability of information and news. I mean, actually, at one point, right after Trump was elected, I was getting such panic because I found myself constantly, I would wake up and then I would check, of course, the Huffington Post, and then I would look at, you know, Politico or whatever other sites, and then, you know, I'd make my coffee and I would have CNN on, and then before that I'd have listened to NPR. I was manic, and then in the taxi cab, wherever I was at any given moment, I had this news feed constantly in my ear, you know, that plus work being constantly available for work, or constantly, you know, or being able to go down a rabbit hole and look at a comment board, and, you know, I mean, it's so much. It's just too much. It's too much. I think if we, you know, there is a responsible way, I think, to live our lives with technology where we also take care of ourselves, right. Take care of our mental state, you know, give ourselves time and space to be clear in our mind so that we can focus on our own empowerment and focus on our own goals, how we want to get there. Take the time to, you know, meditate, take the time to, you know, sit down with your coffee or whatever it is you do and not be staring at your thing and not be just absorbing all of this constant information, but actually strategize with yourself, you know, try to envision a goal for yourself and, try to think about what kind of active choices you're making in your life. You know, take time for yourself. I think that helps. That is empowering.
I actually feel this is a truly feminist statement. I really believe that right now women need to lead the way into changing our relationship with stress and technology, because it's really driving everybody manic.
I agree.
And especially women, because we always feel that we have the primary responsibility for our children. No matter how many stay-at-home dads there are, it's still the minority. And we have our careers, and so many women are very politically active. Therefore, like you were, constantly losing ourselves in the constant notifications and updates. And then there is no time left for us and our intentions and where we are going. So I love your advice. And can we all follow it and put ourselves first, put our own oxygen mask first? And then we have more energy and space for everything else.
Yeah, I think it's, I try to stop myself from, I go, wait, do I need to be doing this right now? Yes. I don't. I do not need to be, like going down the rabbit hole of, what the first production of Glass Menagerie was. Like, that's okay. I can put that away for a minute. I can just put it away.
And how has your life changed since you became a mother, which is now 2.5 years?
Yes, it's 2.5 years, and it is so profound, the change. I can't even begin to summarize it. It's just, I think I really enjoy, when I am disconnected from this thing, it really allows me to be really connected with my 2.5-year-old daughter, and just, I just love, and I've been fascinated also with this idea also in my work as an actor, this kind of paring away of all this noise and kind of return to almost this child state where you see, with your child, they're so imaginative, and this imaginative play that they do. I love to watch her come up with all kinds of stories and games, and it's such a magical, of course, that word's so overused, but it's such an opportunity to really enjoy just life and the simple things that are that connect us to one another. This human experience that we share. It's so wonderful to be able to have this tiny person to interact with and share that part of life with. It's been amazing.
And it's
what can I say?
This tiny bilingual person. Rose speaks English and French, forcing her mother to learn French.
She is, I know, and she doesn't like it when I speak French for some reason. I don't know why. She'll go, no French, Daddy talks that. I'm like, God, you are a bossy kid? D'accord,
I wonder where
no
she
French,
took that from. I wonder where she took the bossy part from. Remember, Sheryl Sandberg.
Don't ask her father that.
We shouldn't call our daughters bossy. We should say that they have leadership abilities.
Yes.
So, Scarlett, I do wish you had more time, but I just want to thank you so much for being not just a brilliant, amazing, and indeed magical actor, but for being such a wise woman, sharing your wisdom with us. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.